I'm LeBron James from Akron, Ohio. I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm blessed. I don't have any worries. So, hello everyone and welcome back. This is the Echols Unlimited podcast. I'm your host, Terrence Echols. And this is the 26th episode of the Echols Unlimited podcast. And for this 26th episode, I decided to do something a little bit different. Not going to do like a normal traditional podcast length, podcast structure. I just wanted to give my brief opinion and thoughts on the greatest of all time basketball player. And this is a debate that is very dumb, in my opinion. Like I don't find it very convenient or productive to debate this. It's not something that it's something that can't definitively be won. So it's sort of hard to debate this topic, but everyone can have their own opinion and have their own thoughts. It's really just up to whoever has this opinion. So also I just wanted to get into this topic, and mostly because everyone's seen like the past few weeks, the Michael Jordan documentary just ended on Sunday. We just got 10 episodes, great episodes about one of the greatest players of all time, the greatest dynasty in sports history, in my opinion, and run and Jordan's rise to fame and what Jordan has done for the game can't even be what Jordan has done for the game, as well as culture, fashion, clothing, sneakers, everything. What Jordan has done cannot be quantified. Like there's no amount that you can place like of the importance that he's had to this game and everything that he's impacted. And Michael Jordan is one of the most historic and amazing people to walk this earth, and we are all so grateful and so thankful that he was able to do this documentary, and we were able to get, especially for people my age who weren't alive during this time period, we were able to get sort of an inside look at to what it was like going through those years with the Chicago Bulls. So as you can tell by my t-shirt that I'm wearing, I believe that LeBron James is indeed the greatest player of all time. And I just wanted to give like my brief thoughts and analysis on like why I believe this. You don't have to agree. This is a dumb argument, like I said, but everyone can have their own opinion, and this is my opinion. So first I wanted to start with the eye test. LeBron James, when you watch him play, he is the best player on the floor, and you can easily tell that. You can easily look at him and say, okay, this guy is the best. He's head and shoulders above everyone else from, I'd say, his second or third year in the NBA until now. Like, he's still the best player in the NBA 15, 16 years after his rookie year, and he's still amazing. He's in year 17 right now. Hopefully we get a resumed season once the coronavirus is over with. But yeah, he's the eye test. He's 6'9", 250 pounds. He's fast, he's agile, he's powerful, he's graceful, he's got bounce, he makes it look easy. He makes the game look easy, especially at his height and weight and his size and his ability to maneuver on the court. Like, we've never seen anything like it, and it's absolutely amazing, and I love watching him play. And so another reason why I think he's the greatest player of all time, I wanted to touch on three things. So the first thing was the eye test, but I also want to talk about like some of his skills and his stats and his achievements. And there's also one other thing that I think pushes LeBron James above everyone else, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But for now, I just wanted to talk a little bit about his skills and some of his statistics and achievements that he's achieved throughout his career. So let's go through this list. I got most of these from Basketball Reference, most of these stats from Basketball Reference. And one thing about him is how dynamic he is. He's elite at everything. He's an elite scorer, he's an elite defender, and he's an elite passer. He is able to manage all facets of the game. And while you may say that one or two of his skills have decreased, such as maybe his defensive effort, his defensive firepower and ability, he is still able to defend at a high level. And while he's still not that defender that he was in the 2013 and 2014 and the 2012 NBA seasons, he is still able to contribute defensively and give you solid defensive efforts. And I think that was shown in the NBA Finals a couple of years ago when he made that block on Andre Iguodala. That was only 4 years ago. So it's not like he completely fell off on defense. He's sort of had to decide, this is what I'm going to put my effort and energy into during the regular season, during these games during the 82 game stretch that is the NBA regular season. So he's had to deal with that as well. And one thing that I really wanted to touch on is he's elite at everything except for free throws. So his free throw percentage is about 73% for his career. He's shooting about 68% this season. It's not great. It's not pitiful. It's not terrible. It's not like he's in the 40s, 50s, but still high 60s, low 70s is not right where you want to be. I think if he can get over 75%, I feel like people would give him more of a benefit of the doubt in that area. But because of the fact that he has not shot over 75% in a while, people are starting to believe and buy into the fact that he's just not a good free throw shooter. And while that may be true, he has hit some clutch free throws in his life. And especially if you go back to 2016 when he hit the go-ahead free throw to put it out of range after just falling on his wrist. So, I sort of can see why people have that opinion and that belief that he's not a good free throw shooter. But he can play every position offensively. And that is shown through how he's adapted to a different position almost every season. He started off as a shooting guard in the NBA. He moved over to small forward. And then he's played power forward at times in Miami and in Cleveland when they decided to go small ball and with Kevin Love at the center or Chris Bosh at the center. So he's played the power forward position as well. And then this year he took on the duty of playing the point guard position. And he has started games at the point guard position in the NBA before, especially when he was in Cleveland the first time. So the fact that he can play positions 1 through 4 offensively, and you can throw him on the block. He can contribute solidly at the center position as well. It's just probably not the best position for him because he's a player who thrives with the ball in his hands. And he also can defend all 5 positions. At his 6'9", 250-pound frame, he can stay in front of point guards, and he can also play good help defense and rotate over and block a center shot in the post, as we've seen him do many times before, especially the most iconic block on a center coming in the 2013 finals, I want to say, when he blocked Tiago Splitter, who was coming off of a pick and roll and went to dunk. LeBron comes over on help side, blocks his shots, stares him down. That's an iconic play in his career. But the fact that he can play every position offensively and defensively just shows how dynamic of a player he is. And also his durability. Durability is a skill. It is something that gets often underrated, especially in the NBA game. It's such a long season, and having to play all those games and travel and just the pounding it takes on your knees, your feet, your arms, your shoulders, everything. So the fact that he's been able to play at this level for so long, especially his durability has not only been physically but mentally. I hate to bring Michael Jordan up but Michael Jordan got drained physically. He couldn't really take it any longer, which is why he retired the first time. He couldn't take the media as well as the season. And so durability with LeBron James, he's also been the biggest star outside of basketball, and the fact that he's able to do that without getting any major injuries, his worst injury coming last season where he still was able to play 55 games, has been amazing. And a true tribute to his durability is one of the records that he holds, and he holds it by over 100 games. And that record is he's played 988 consecutive games and scored in double digits. He's done this while averaging 38 minutes a game and while playing at least 84% of every single season he's played in the NBA, besides the past season where he got the groin injury last year. I think we all remember that happening, and it just ruining the Lakers' chances of making the playoffs last season. But in his 1,258 games, he has averages of 21 points, 7 rebounds, and 7.5 assists, all while shooting 50% from the field and 33% from three, and also 74% from the free throw line, which is still not terrible. He makes 3 out of every 4 shots he shoots from the free throw line, but his awards and his achievements speak for themselves. Okay, so let's look at his All-Star. He has 16 All-Star appearances with 3 All-Star MVP awards. He has 3 NBA championships. He has 15 All-NBA selections. He has 4 MVPs. He has a Rookie of the Year. He's 6-time All-NBA defensive team. And he has had, this is an NBA record, 8 consecutive trips to the finals. He also has the most All-NBA first-team selections with 12. He has the only player to average 25 points per game for 15 consecutive seasons. He's the only player in NBA history with 34,000 points, 9,000 rebounds, and 9,000 assists. So going back to how dynamic of a player he is, and the fact that he's able to do it over and over and over and over and over again is such an important factor when you think about who the greatest player of all time is. He's also has the most career All-Star game points. He's the youngest player to hit every milestone in points. So like 1,000, 2,000, 30,000, like whatever milestone is that has been hit, he has been the youngest player to do so. And he's the all-time playoff leader in points by over 1,000 points. No player who has played in the playoffs has scored more points than LeBron James. Really shows how good and how dominant he's been in the playoffs. He's also done this while being the 6th in career playoff rebounds, 3rd in career playoff assists, 1st in career playoff steals, and 4th in career playoff threes made. And he's not even considered a shooter. And the other guys on this list are guys such as Ray Allen, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Reggie Miller, like some of the best shooters of all time. LeBron James is on that list with them. So the fact that he's been able to go to the playoffs over and over again and deliver superior greatness to anyone who's ever played the game. He has the most buzzer beater game winners in the playoffs. So for something that was considered his biggest weakness when he was early Miami, late Cleveland days, has now become one of the records he holds. Just shows like his development as a player and his development, his growth as a player as well. And he also has the most points per game in elimination games in playoffs. So when his back is up against the wall, he seems to always deliver. While that always may not be a win, especially in the NBA Finals, you can never say that LeBron James didn't really deliver. And aside from one series back in 2011, when Miami was facing Dallas, and I think he had like 8 points in game 5 or something like that, which is a tough thing to deal with. But like I'm going to get into right now is why I still think that he's the greatest player despite his struggles during that series. So the one thing that really makes me believe that LeBron James is the greatest player in the history of the NBA and the history of the game of basketball has been his response to adversity. And responding to adversity is something very important in life that we all have to deal with. And it's something very important, especially in athletics and sports, because something that comes in athletics and sports is that doesn't always come in every facet of life is the fact that there are winners and there are losers, which means there's automatically like a 50% chance going in that you are going to have to face some adversity, whatever it is. Like adversity just comes with being an athlete. It comes with playing sports. So I just wanted to get into a few different situations and scenarios where LeBron James has really responded to adversity better than I've seen anyone else do. So in 2007, we all remember a 22-year-old LeBron James led the Cleveland Cavaliers to the finals against the Spurs, who were in the midst of their dynasty during that time. The Spurs had won a championship in the late 90s. They won one in 2005, and they were coming back for another one in 2007. And LeBron led a team where I can't even name half the guys. Zydrunas Ilgauskas, I remember, Anderson Varejao, Larry Hughes, Drew Gooden, like those types of players. He led a team of those players against the San Antonio Spurs, who are one of the most well-run organizations in the history of sports. And I hope they get a documentary or something to show their greatness and consistency throughout the many years that they've been in organization. And LeBron went up against Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Tim Duncan, three Hall of Famers, three guys who just were truly fundamental, and those guys were able to stay together, stay consistent, and continue to produce in the playoffs every single year. And that's just a true testament to their abilities. But yes, they got the best of him in that series in 2007. But what LeBron did in response to that, he led the league in scoring the following year. And then the following years after that, he went back and won back-to-back MVPs after losing in the finals to them. So the fact that he was able to respond to that adversity of losing in the finals to then going on and taking the league by storm and really cementing himself as the best player in the NBA after that series just shows his response to the adversity that he faced and his ability to go back, change up his blueprint, and deliver. And unfortunately, he didn't win any NBA championships during that time. And so another example of his response to adversity was, of course, the 2011 finals loss to the Mavericks. And people will get on him about this. And of course, everyone has those games and those series where they just don't go your way and you aren't able to produce to the level that you wanted. And I'm sure of all the people who scrutinized and were heavily hating on LeBron James, I'm sure the number one person who was disappointed in LeBron James was LeBron James, because you look at what he was able to do after that. And after that, he came back and he won back-to-back league MVPs. Again, for the second time in his career, he won back-to-back MVPs, as well as back-to-back championships. 2012 against the Thunder, and then 2013 against those same dynasty Spurs, who still had Parker, Ginobili, and Duncan. While they were older, they also still had a young Kawhi Leonard, who had not yet blossomed, but was beginning to show his abilities as a defender in the NBA. That just truly shows his response to that type of adversity. He was able to come back and finally get those two championships and get the rings that he deserved and get the rings that he had been working for. And another example was the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals. Throughout his career, he has had to deal with the Boston Celtics. They have probably been the team that has given him the most trouble in the Eastern Conference playoffs. I'll probably say that the Warriors have given him the most trouble in terms of playing against them and going up against them every year in the finals. But from an Eastern Conference standpoint, it has definitely been the Celtics, in my opinion. Or the Pistons early on in his career, but that was young LeBron James. Those were a dominant Pistons team. They won a championship. So I probably would say it would have to be the Celtics, because their timeline sort of matched up, where the Celtics were at the end of their prime, just as LeBron was getting into the beginning of his prime. So it sort of matched up a little bit for those few years. I want to say from like 2008 to about 2012, before those guys really started to teeter off and end their careers. And LeBron James was just heating up at that point. But yeah, you look at the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals, they were down 3-2. Game 6, LeBron has 45 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists. Game 7 has 31 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 assists. Then you look at the 2013 Eastern Conference Finals, where in Game 7, he had 32, 8, and 4. Miami go back to another championship run. And now you look at the 2015 NBA Finals. This is his first year back in Cleveland. Kyrie had gone down in Game 1 with a knee injury. Kevin Love had gone down early on in the playoffs where Kelly Olynyk ripped his shoulder out of his socket during the first game of the playoffs that year. It was unfortunate. And he took it to 6 games against the best team in the league. The Warriors, who had Stephen Curry, who was a league MVP. Draymond Green was beginning to reach his peak. And Klay Thompson, just truly two-way outstanding player. And Andre Iguodala, who will be a Hall of Famer. And he ended up winning NBA Finals MVP, which is very impressive, considering the fact that he was not like a featured player on that team. He won the Finals MVP because of his defensive efforts against LeBron James, who still in that series, in those 6 games, he led the game in scoring. He had the most points out of everyone in 5 out of those 6 games, except for the one game that Timofey Mozgov went off and had 28 points. The fact that Mozgov had to go off for 28 points and the Cavs still lost just shows the I don't want to say lack of help, because that demeans the players that he was playing with, and I don't want to do that. I want to say that the level of the players on the Cleveland Cavaliers were just not great enough to take down the level of the guys who were on the Golden State Warriors, who had, I want to say, who were a better team at that time. They were definitely a better team. So the fact that he was able to do that and still take it to 6 games and still lead 5 out of those 6 games in points and average 36 points, 13 rebounds, and 9 assists for that series just truly shows like this man is on a mission. He just wants to win. He is giving his full effort and trying his best. And I think that deserves to be appreciated. He deserves his recognition for the fact that he went into that series without his 2 best players, his 2 best co-stars on his team. And he was still able to put up those types of numbers and still give his full effort into trying to win a championship for Cleveland. And so the next example I have is probably the best example of response to adversity. In the 2016 finals, those same Warriors, he brought his same Cavs, except Kyrie and Kevin Love were healthy for this series, thank goodness. And he was able to bring them from a 3-1 deficit. And I want to give Kyrie Irving his recognition as well for what he was able to do during this series as well, because without Kyrie Irving, I don't think Cleveland wins game 5 or game 7 because of what he was able to do in those games. And I think the one game when him and LeBron James both scored 41 points, that was insane. They were both just two guys on a mission, just trying their best to bring a championship to Cleveland, and they actually did it. And in that series, LeBron averaged 30, 11, and 9 with 2.5 steals, 2.5 blocks. He also hit the clutch free throw at the end that I mentioned earlier to put the game out of reach, to put Cleveland up by 4. If he had missed both of those free throws, Golden State could have easily come down, hit a 3, sent the game into overtime. Like, the fact that he hit that free throw after falling directly onto his wrist is just a true sign of greatness, and it's a true testament to the type of player and the resilience he has as an NBA basketball player. Another example of the response to adversity is when Kyrie left the Cavs in 2017. When Kyrie realized that they weren't going to be able to beat the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant on the team, he decided, it's time for me to do something that he's wanted to do for years, and that was be his own man and have his own team and be his own player. And there's no hard feelings whatsoever about that. I feel like if you're an NBA basketball player, you have a short period of time in the league. The longest time guys end up playing are 15 to 20 years, and that's, if you look at that in a grand scheme of your life, you don't want to be upset for 5 years out of your career, because if you think about that, that's 25% of your professional career. So I understand where Kyrie Irving, why he did it, and I don't blame him for it at all. But LeBron responded to that by producing his best season, in my opinion. And while people say like he took the year off from defense because his win shares were down, it didn't look like he was trying sometimes on defense, and he's found a formula and it's been very successful. And that formula doesn't always involve giving his full effort that he used to give on defense. But like if that were any other player who had not been the best defender in the NBA at one point in their career, I feel like LeBron wouldn't get as much hate for that. But because of the fact that people have this expectation that he is an elite defender, which I still believe he is at times when he wants to be, and we saw that in what he was able to do to Giannis and Kawhi earlier on this season, right before the NBA suspended its season, that truly will show you that LeBron James is still a great defender, and the fact that he did not produce well on defense in that season shouldn't be held against him, really. In year 15, he played all 82 games. He averaged 28, 9, and 9. He led the league in total points. In the playoffs, he had 2 game winners, 2 game sevens. He had the second most points in NBA playoff history, while also coming in second in the MVP race to James Harden, which he probably should have won if it hadn't been Harden's first chance at an MVP. So I think, in my personal opinion, Harden should have won the MVP in 2015 when Steph Curry won his first MVP. And then that would have caused voters to be like, okay, LeBron deserves the MVP this year because Harden already has his MVP. Because Harden was deserving of an MVP. I just didn't think he was deserving that year because I think LeBron had a better year. Just like last year, people thought Harden was deserving of the MVP. Well, I just thought Giannis had a better year. He's a better overall player, and I don't know. I will give the benefit of the doubt to the more overall player, in my personal opinion. But no doubt, Harden was so deserving of an MVP, so I'm glad that he was able to get it that year. But let's not disregard the fact that LeBron James played one of the best seasons we've ever seen, complete seasons. He played, like I said, played all 82 games. He showed up in the playoffs. He had 51 points in that first game 1 against the Warriors, and they had a chance to win, but we all remember the J.R. Smith blunder, the J.R. Smith where he just lost track of what he was doing, lost his focus for just a few seconds, and unfortunately the Cavs were not able to come out with a single win that series. And I think the fact that they got swept in that series to the Golden State Warriors, who had Kevin Durant on their team, a 73-win team with one of the greatest players of all time coming onto that team when only a couple of guys were lost, such as Harrison Barnes and Festus Ezeli. I think I'll trade Harrison Barnes and Festus Ezeli and Andrew Bogut for Kevin Durant any day. He came back that season and without Kyrie, and he really just put the city of Cleveland, he put the team on his back, was able to get them all the way back to the finals, and fortunately didn't get the championship that he had hoped for and the championship that he had worked for. But it was truly an amazing thing to watch, and I'm so glad and I'm so grateful that we were able to watch LeBron James in 2017-2018 season just be the best player in the world again. And last season, let's talk about his injury where he got hurt on the Lakers when they were number 4 seed in the Western Conference, which is a tough conference, as we all know. And they beat Golden State that night. It was a great game, except for the fact that he had a terrible groin injury and had to sit out 20-some-odd games during that time. And unfortunately, the Lakers fell out of playoff race. But he came back from that season. The Lakers reloaded their roster. They were able to get Anthony Davis, and LeBron James came out, and the Lakers have the best record in the Western Conference. He is leading the league in assists, and he had just come off of, before the NBA suspended its season, he had just come off of 2 key wins against the Milwaukee Bucks, who had the best record in the NBA with Giannis Antetokounmpo, and the Los Angeles Clippers, who had Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And the fact that he was able to do that, and he was showing that the Lakers were primed to make another championship run. In year 17, 35 years old, LeBron James is just truly impeccable. His response to adversity does not get talked about enough, and he does not receive the recognition that he deserves, because his response to adversity has been just very underrated. Like, people don't understand, like, the way you respond to negative stimuli and negative things that happen in your life is a true test of your character, and is a true test of how great you are as a person. And the fact that each and every single time he's responded in a positive way, instead of running away and cowering and not giving his full 100% effort into trying to win an NBA championship and an MVP and doing this and doing that and just being the best player he could be each and every year. And the fact that his numbers and his production is showing that he is going to go down as statistically the most overall skilled best player in NBA history. Like, he is on pace to break Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record in points. He is on pace to be top 10 in career rebounds. He's going to be top 10 in career assists. He's going to be up there in blocks and steals as well. Like, he's won 4 MVPs, might win another one if the season ever resumes this year. He's won 3 championships. He might win another one if the season resumes this year. And you never know what will happen in the next 4 to 5 years. If LeBron, he could play for another 4 to 5 years, and we don't know what's going to happen in those next 4 to 5 years. But I believe that when it is all said and done, LeBron James will be the best player in the NBA. And another reason that I want to get into briefly is, like, just his story. I feel like a true story is what helps someone achieve greatness, and the fact that he's LeBron James in the early 2000s, the media and people all over the world were telling him, this guy could be the next Michael Jordan. This guy could be the next big thing. In the early 2000s, we told a 16-year-old kid that he could be the greatest player in the NBA. And the fact that he has lived up to that and perhaps exceeded expectations, as I might say, is truly a sign of greatness. It's truly a sign of the best player to ever do it. And the fact that he came out of high school, took a year to adjust. He still scored over 20 points a game his rookie year, won the Rookie of the Year. But the fact that he's put on this magical show for us for the past 17 years has been amazing. And we've all been privileged to have been able to watch him. You know, he's battled against dynasties. He's been a positive role model throughout all of this. He's produced every single year, and he still has more to go. He's handled adversity on the court, and especially in the social media era where every single thing you do is scrutinized. Like, people were really hating on this man for going to his son's basketball game and cheering. People were hating on this man for tweeting about certain topics and issues, telling him, oh, he shouldn't worry about that. Oh, the way he handled this, he's just trying to call attention to himself. Like this, that. They rip apart every little thing that he does, and he still goes on the court and puts a smile on his face and gives us the best version of him. It's greatness. I'll end this by going back to a quick quote from 2012 when he won his first NBA championship. Before this was Ed, he was talking to Doris Burke, I believe. He said,
LeBron, you are constantly faced with the din of noise from the outside, scrutiny and pressure. How, when everybody is coming at you, do you keep your head and perform at the level you do?
Listen, for me, I can't worry about what everybody say about me. I'm LeBron James from Akron, Ohio, from the inner city. I'm not even supposed to be here. That's enough. Every night I walk into the locker room, I see a number 6 with James on the back. I'm blessed. So what everybody say about me off the court don't matter. I ain't got no words.
Congratulations, LeBron.
And truly shows how humble and how great of a mind he has and how strong of a person he is. And that, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, is the true reason why I believe LeBron James is the greatest player to ever walk this earth. Thank you.